So working for Dr. DeBakey was a real experience. On the floor, you would take care of, I don't know, 130 patients, I think, but may not have been that many. It may have only been 80 or 90, but it was a lot of patients on the floor, and you would see them every day and take care of them. And they were all kept for 2 weeks after any operation, practically, abdominal aortic aneurysm or fem-pop bypass or carotid endarterectomy, which were the kind of surgeries that they were doing back then. And so we had a lady come in who was from New Orleans and knew Dr. DeBakey, and she was a nurse. And she had some problems with possible carotid disease, and so they did carotid arteriograms on her. Nowadays, they put a little catheter up the femoral artery and go up and squirt a little dye in the vessels to the brain and get pictures. Back then, they did direct sticks of the carotid artery with the patient wide awake and their head back and lying very still with an 18-gauge needle, Cournand, I believe it was, and they would inject it, get the pictures, take the needle out. Well, there'd be a little leakage of blood. 18-gauge needle puncture in an artery will bleed a little bit. So her carotid arteriograms were completely normal, and I was discharging her, in the process of discharging her and writing her orders, and I watched Dr. DeBakey walk by and go into her room to say goodbye, because he had known her in New Orleans. And he came out, he spotted me, and he walked over and looked at me and said, "If you don't stop neglecting my patients, I'll not only fire you from my service, I'll fire you from the service." Do you understand what that means, doctor? Well, when I tell the story, I always say that means you finish your residency at the Houston Shoe Hospital, of which there is one, and been here for many years. Well, I had no idea what he was talking about, and he disappears. I go in to see her, and I say, "What's the problem?" And she says, "Dr. Geis, I had these carotid arteriograms yesterday, and I hurt all last night, and nobody came to see me." Well, I'm the only person on the thing. I'm there for 3 months, day and night. I'm the only person on the service. And I looked at her and I said, "Well, it's the first time I've heard of it. Nobody called me." And she says, "Oh, Dr. Geis, I'm a nurse. I know how hard you work. I hear your name paged," and it was the old days where you got overhead pages. You didn't carry a thing on your belt, and it wasn't on your phone. And I hear your name paged overhead every 15 minutes all day long, and every hour all night long. I told him not to bother you. Well, I ran off to find Dr. DeBakey. Where's Dr. DeBakey? Went down to see the office, and Polly Tovar's there. She's the secretary. And Polly, where's Dr. DeBakey? I've got to talk to him. And she said, "Well, he just got on the limousine. He's going to the airport. He's going to go to Brussels to see the Queen." He had some sort of deal with the Queen of Belgium. So he's off to see the Queen. Well, I didn't get fired, but at least I did get fired later on. But it was, I always said it was worse than Vietnam. In Vietnam, you'd walk along, you'd step on a mine, your leg disappears, you lose your leg or something like that. It was just, it was fun, but it was scary. Now, I remember one patient in particular. He came from I don't know, Iowa or Ohio or something like that. And this is a different story.
Okay.